Abed, let me get my tea. Somebody fill Jason in on the stupidity going on. Here, I'll
Okay.
tell you what. I will pull up my tweet, but it's in the my tweet is in the description as well. How about you read my tweet?
All right. Read it out loud. I'll do it. All right.
Read it out loud.
Almost 4 million. What is it? Is this like
Well, you don't have to
gonna
read
make
it
me
from
say
here.
something I
You
don't
can
want to
read it
say?
off Twitter itself. I'll be right back.
This is gonna make me confess something I don't want to confess. I, Jason, am almost. Hi, Sandy. How are you doing?
Good.
I guess I'll read this. Almost 4 million views already, and I am guessing it is only going to get more exposure from here. People are trying to understand what is happening here. The only answers they're getting are stupid conspiracy theories and jokes. So here goes. TLDR, Hasidic teenagers can be just as stupid and rebellious as any other teenage boys. To understand what is going on here, you have to know what this place is. It is 770 Eastern Parkway, the world headquarters of the Chabad Lubavitch. I can't do that throat thing
Here,
that Jewish
I'll
people do.
read it.
Sorry. Hasidic dynasty. Chabad is one of the oldest and most well-known Hasidic dynasty, although the actual number of Chabad Hasidim, is that how you say that? I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Hasidim, yeah.
Hasidim is not as large as other Hasidic groups. Okay. Chabad is one. Oh,
sorry.
right.
Did I make it worse? Sorry.
No, that's right.
Okay.
No, it went away from the bottom, but
Yeah,
Chabad
there
is
we
well
go.
known because of the 7th Grand Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson of blessed memory, known affectionately as the Rebbe. The Rebbe is the leader of Chabad for 40 years, from 1951 until his death in 1994. He was a remarkable man who helped Orthodox Judaism establish itself in the wake of the Holocaust. Okay, have you ever heard of the minor apocryphal Jewish holiday of Hanukkah? It is quite likely the holiday you have heard most about, despite the fact that it is actually a grander scheme of Jewish life. The reason for that includes one of the Rebbe's famous campaigns to encourage not only Jews to be more aware of G/D in the world, but also
God
Gentiles.
in the world.
The Rebbe was a lamplighter in both a literal and figurative way. He inspired large numbers of people to take his message of a little light pushes off much darkness, literally to the corners of the world. There are many biographies about the Rebbe and histories of his impact on the Jewish world. I highly recommend picking one up. The Rebbe's Army by Sue Fishkov is one of the more accessible and well-written explanations. It is hard to explain the life of the Rebbe and his work briefly. Suffice it to say that when Chabad took its fight for public menorah lightings on Hanukkah to the United States Supreme Court, pretty much the entirety of the Jewish world was against it. You can read the list of amicus briefs.
Amicus briefs. Yeah.
Amicus briefs against Chabad. It is basically a listing of every major Jewish organization in the world. In county of Allegheny, versus American Civil
Allegheny. Come on, you don't even know what how to read.
You're embarrassing me, man.
Like the Hebrew words is one thing, but Allegheny is like it's Pittsburgh County.
I don't know. I don't know these words. All right, the Supreme Court ruled that public menorah lightings were proof that nativity scenes on Christmas were not an infringement of the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. The Rebbe stood against the rest of Jewish world in declaring that the United States was blessed because its freedom of religion was the opposite of godless communism that he had fled from in Russia. The Rebbe inspired many Jews and continues to inspire many Jews today. This was not a foregone conclusion. When his predecessor arrived in the United States in the wake of the Holocaust, pretty much everyone was agreed that only a miracle could revive Orthodox Judaism. When the Rebbe took over the leadership of Chabad, 770 was a large building for a small Hasidic sect. There are stories told of people ringing the bell only to be greeted by the Grand Rabbi himself. There are many videos online detailing how Chabad grew and 770 tried to grow within it. as more and more people were inspired by the Rebbe and started coming to hear him speak. As more and more people wanted to hear this holy man, speak to him, pray with him, sing with him, and merely to see him. Adjacent buildings were bought and the synagogue was expanded several times. The Rebbe was Judaism all the time, and one of the 13 principles of Jewish faith is the belief in the coming of the Messiah. At a time when so many Jews had given up any hope, this was yet another fire that the Rebbe stoked brightly. Along with other people of Jewish faith, he was adamant that the whole world should look forward to the coming of the Messiah. Many people came to believe fervently that the Rebbe himself would indeed be the Messiah. This was, of course, a matter of great controversy. The Rebbe himself often spoke in the same manner as Gamliel is quoted in the Christian book of Acts, chapter 5. The Rebbe's work was never about being against, it was about being for. The first Chabad Rebbe had taught, a little light pushes off much darkness. The seventh Chabad Rebbe believed his role was to make this teaching physical reality. You did all this on I thought you said this was a tweet. I didn't know you could tweet this long.
What are you talking?
This is a long tweet. I thought like it was they limited your words. This is like a book. All right, I'm going. Then something that many about Hasidim, I don't know how you say it, thought was absolutely impossible happened. The Rebbe died on the third day of the Jewish month Tammuz in the summer of 1994. Chabad was devastated. There are news videos of that day available on YouTube. The stages of grief roiled through the Jewish community in wave after wave. Many people would not believe it. The fact is that 30 years later, some still do not believe it. The fact that so many of the people in these videos are men who were not even born when the Rebbe was alive should not shock you. In fact, it is part of the explanation for the crazy scene you see. 770 Eastern Parkway is a rather small place, really. You could walk past it most days without even knowing where the entrance is, or that it is always filled with Jewish men and sometimes women. Chabad Hasidim are people just like other people. There are many different ways of interpreting the Rebbe's teachings, many diametrically opposed. To most of the Rebbe's most fervent followers, it is incredibly important to spread the light of his teachings around the world. That is why Chabad is famous for building synagogues in far-flung places like Nepal, where there are few Jews. To the people who are most insecure in their belief that the Rebbe's teachings have enduring value, chanting about how he is the living Messiah in his synagogue has become the most important thing. Some will say all manner of silly things like "Long live the King" about a dead man. This reminds many people of how Christians were unable to accept the death of Jesus. Is it surprising that we have people who are willing to do and say crazy things in the name of a Jew who inspired people to think he was Messiah? It certainly is not the first time in history. Just be aware that the problem continues to be that they do and say crazy things, not that they are inspired to believe in the coming of the Messiah. Well, how does this lead to people building secret tunnels? I refer you to another court case. Oh no, I'm going to have to pronounce other words. Or rather, a whole series of court cases. Agudas Hasidai Chabad of the United States for Congregation Lubavitch.
Yeah.
Is that how you say that? Well, yeah,
Lubavitch.
see, I can pronounce words that aren't English. Lubavitch. Yeah. The Rebbe was a wise man. He did set things up for his eventual passing and created formal procedures for running Chabad, everything short of naming a successor, which Hasidic rabbis have traditionally been unwilling to do. On the 4th of Tammuz, life has gone on. Chabad had to keep functioning. People had to deal with their grief. They had to take care of their children. They had to continue to do the tasks that the Rebbe had inspired them to do before his death. Most people accepted the leadership of the organization that the Rebbe had left in charge. Agudas Hasidai Chabad, literally the union of Chabad Hasidim, yet a small fringe of people, often mentally unstable and obsessed with the idea of the Rebbe being revealed as the Messiah, objected. A rift, both physical and legal, broke out between upstairs 770 and downstairs 770. What? Upstairs 770 were the offices and the people with keys to those offices. Downstairs 770 was the synagogue open to the itinerant masses. Upstairs 770 was the capable people the Rebbe had surrounded himself with to carry on his work. Downstairs 770 was filled with the hopeless people who came to be inspired by the Rebbe. The Global Chabad Outreach Organization was run from upstairs. The people whose world narrowed into a single synagogue in a single building in the Crown Heights neighborhood of Brooklyn sat praying downstairs. A lot of resentment festered downstairs for the people upstairs. Many stupid things have happened over the past 30 years, all of them shameful, many of them sad, some of them outrageous. Things became so topsy-turvy that when the chairman of Agudas Hasidai Chabad went downstairs to pray, he was physically attacked. I don't think anybody upstairs wanted to call the police on the people downstairs. If anything, I think upstairs 770 looks at downstairs 770 with pity. Yet the situation keeps on getting worse and worse. Then came COVID and the closing of synagogues in New York City. Upstairs 770 had to deal officially with the government. Downstairs 770 was already filled with rebellious young ideologues, fired up with their own radical messianism. They didn't need any excuses to ignore upstairs 770. So when I heard about this tunnel in 770, I was saddened, but not surprised. I will admit that when I saw the reaction on the internet, I started crying. I can't read that Hebrew, sorry. This
Why
sickened
can't
our
you read
hearts.
that Hebrew? It's the Bible.
I'm sorry. I'm slacking off. This sickened our hearts, and these things darkened our eyes, that the Mount of Zion was desolate, the jackals prowled upon it. Lamentations 5:17-18. Apparently, the tunnels started as a way of getting into the synagogue to pray, even when it was supposed to be closed. Not only does that not surprise me, I expected that people would definitely be praying there during COVID. See the Sage of Breslov and Uman.
That should have been Saga, but I misspelled Saga. It was late last
I was just thinking, I was like literally right before you said that, probably in the previous paragraph, I was thinking how impressive it was you didn't have any misspelling so far.
I have a few, but yeah.
I probably wouldn't notice either. See the Saga of Breslov and Uman for an example of how far Hasidim will go to pray at a place associated with the Rebbe. It does not surprise me that the people may have ended up sleeping there or even living there. 770 is not a normal synagogue. It is the Rebbe's synagogue. The way the people of the Messianic fringe downstairs has been acting reminds me of precisely what I saw when I visited Crown Heights before most of them were born. The Rebbe has left a gaping wound in the spiritual fabric of the world where he used to shine. His light is no longer there to prevent such insanity. How long can we endure such darkness? I am posting this when I am extremely tired. Tired and frankly depressed.
I'm glad you read that tired, because I actually misspelled it and wrote tried.
That's all right. If I had more time, I would hopefully make fewer mistakes, word things better, explain better, etc. I will revisit this with fresh eyes tomorrow. Good night.
Twitter. They deleted their post, which had the videos of the tunnels.
So what's happening? I don't know anything about this. I just walked into this.
So, okay.
Did you look at the DM I sent you, Jacob?
Yeah. I'm not going to show the videos. So what happened was, apparently, okay. So long story longer. For a very long time, the people from upstairs 770 haven't actually been allowed to go downstairs 770, right? So like if you were to go to 770, well, not today, before today, right? You would have been able to go downstairs, and you probably would not have seen much amiss, and people probably wouldn't have said much to you. But downstairs 770 has been filled with a bunch of young men, a lot of whom are silly and not the highest quality of Chabad's Hasidim. Let's put it that way. And to the point that, like, I forget how many years ago it was, but like it was like 12 years ago or so, when Rabbi Krinsky tried to go downstairs to pray, like they physically ejected him. Rabbi Krinsky is the head of Agudas Hasidei Chabad. If anybody, like if he wanted to, he could have called the police, had everybody kicked out of the synagogue, and prayed there alone, I guess, right? But there's all these people, many of whom really, really hate him, mostly because he reminds them of the fact that the Rebbe passed away 30 years ago. And like, the funny thing is, like, a lot of these kids weren't even born when the Rebbe was alive, right? But the most crazy fanatics tend to be like these 16-year-olds who, like, whatever. Anyway, so downstairs is perpetually filled with a bunch of crazy young men, right? And most of them are nebuchs, whatever. Well, apparently, somehow they got it into their heads to dig a tunnel from some other building underground, because so downstairs 770 is actually, so the actual synagogue is underground. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me actually pull up a video of 770.
So do you say these radical teenagers dug a tunnel to the underground?
Yeah,
is this bad?
They made their own little tunnel from like underground. Like,
I thought the
under
downstairs was
building.
like open to the public though.
Well, okay, apparently, and we don't really know like what actually, like, when they started building this tunnel, but so here, that's, well, I'm trying to find a picture of the Rebbe speaking in 770.
So why did they dig this tunnel again? Was it just so they could get in there and worship or something, or because they want to just mess stuff up?
As best I can tell, it may have started during COVID, because the synagogues were being closed. But everybody's saying the tunnel was built 6 months ago. But I'm wondering, like, are they saying it was built 6 months ago because they don't want suddenly the city charging these guys with COVID restrictions now from 2 years ago? Like, how this tunnel started, God knows. But what? Yeah.
Old video. I sent also DM old video.
Yeah, that is an old video. Does it show? Oh, okay.
It looked like it.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty good. Yeah. So here.
Okay.
Not sure how you found this video, but like, okay, so this is downstairs 770, which was a big hall in which, so 770 was just a building, right? And you can see the building. It's like an old, normal New York building that was an office building, right? It was an office building that was the headquarters of Chabad. But what happened was they built in the basement, they built a synagogue. And then as more and more people started coming to see the Rebbe, right? Wow. That's so funny to see 770s empty. Like, I don't, like, today may be one of the few days since then. So this is the Rebbe downstairs 770 from forever ago. Anyway, well, there are definitely people who still believe that the Rebbe is the Messiah. But this is the Rebbe, yeah. But like, I'm trying to see if there's a video showing like the large room panning out. This is here. Like, you see, there's like thousands of people, right? So downstairs 770
yeah.
was expanded several times, and now it's a pretty big building, but it's like it is a basement, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so
With a support post still in the middle.
yeah, and these people apparently built, like, I don't even know how they did it, but a bunch of teenagers like built a tunnel from a different building underneath a street
Mm.
to get to
So
770.
one of the things that was up yesterday said something about underneath the women's section of something above. What was
Right.
that?
So the women's section, obviously, you can't see the women's section. This video is actually, I believe, from the women's section. Like, so the women's section is a balcony above, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and they apparently the this tunnel was underneath the women's section.
Yeah, when I started to watch the videos, and with
Yeah.
my ex being in construction, and our first house having support, like a metal support, to
Yeah.
hold the house up in the middle of the basement. That's the first thing I thought is you do not dig. It's not even under a new building. You do not dig under places where the support structure is in part sitting on the ground or sitting above something that's got supports. And
I mean,
then
this is all
digging just
kinds of stupid that they did this. Anyway, so they did this, and then it was discovered. And when it was discovered, apparently Chabad and the people who run downstairs 770, uh, who are already like, okay, the people who run downstairs 770 are not the craziest people in the world, but they're not they're not Chabad's best. Let's put it that way, okay? But even their leaders were like, oh my God, what do we do? And so they hired cement trucks to come and fill these tunnels and shore up the place and fix it. And apparently what happened is yesterday when the cement trucks came, a bunch of the crazies who had built the tunnels got started taking down the wall in 770, which was hiding the tunnel.
The wall that
Okay.
covered up their tunnel.
Yeah.
One site
Ah.
said something about the police pulling it down, but when I watched, it looked like people were holding things up from the inside, and it was being shoved back into the room from the people in the tunnel.
There were people in the tunnel. There were people. I saw videos of what looked like Hasidim tearing down the walls between the tunnel and the actual video and the actual synagogue. So, okay, you have to realize there were people who were spending, and there continue to be people, well, until last night, who basically would spend their entire days in 770, right? Studying, praying, whatever, right? Especially itinerant people, not the most mentally healthy people, right? And what appears to have happened, I can't. So the mattresses, oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah. So either they had taken mattresses that people had thrown away and they were using them as insulation to keep the noise from the tunnels coming into 770, or they may have been sleeping on mattresses in the tunnels. I could believe both. Like,
Yeah, I can
it's
believe.
it's a bunch of young men being stupid. Anyway,
Yeah. It's hard for me to judge because I feel like I could be convinced pretty easily to dig a secret tunnel somewhere. If someone was like, if I had friends and they're like, I got this idea, let's go dig a secret tunnel, I'd be like, I'm in. I don't care where. Let's do it. This sounds like a great idea. And I would just
great
like,
idea. Great idea.
I could be convinced very easily that a secret tunnel is the funnest thing ever.
Well, I'm sure
So-
I mean, apparently they spent a lot of time. I mean, I saw a video of the actual tunnel. Like, and
It's impressive.
It's a depressive, but yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and how they, like, where they got rid of the earth, and like, so
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know about that.
well, apparently they were throwing it into a vacant lot that was somewhere else. Oh my god. Anyway. But
impressive.
now, like, people all over the internet are like, oh, those mattresses were where they were raping the children in the secret tunnel.
A lot of
Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
I saw, and it was just unbelievable what people were saying.
Yeah, it's like, and Chabad is making this worse by not talking about anything. Yeah, Garth actually, makes me think of Notre Dame, except Notre Dame apparently wasn't actual arson, and these people basically are arsonists.
So did they kind of like ruin? I'm sorry, I'm totally ignorant about this entire subject. Did they did it like defile the synagogue in a way?
Yeah,
Is it,
I
like,
mean,
ruined
okay, I have to
conceptually, or-
say, it's not like 770 was like some gorgeous synagogue. It really wasn't. It was just wood paneling and stuff. It can be replaced easily. It wasn't even nice wood paneling. The fact is, if the Rebbe were alive, right? If the Rebbe were alive, there would be a major renovation of 770 with beautiful walls and et cetera, right? And they could do that. And this is the perfect time for them to actually do that. Like, actually make 770, like, bring in architects and do a nice renovation and make it look beautiful and da-da-da-da-da. And I mean, they wouldn't change it too much because historically, like, these videos of like the Rebbe speaking in 770, like, these are so iconic in Chabad. They really are. Like, yeah, people would go watch Chabad. They would take their children, watch the Rebbe. They would take their children, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you can't change the building too much, but, like, you could put nicer wooden panels than exist now, and they should, but whatever.
Yeah. So do they know the intention of these people that were doing it? Like, it wasn't.
So
From what I'm
apparently
gathering
they're saying they wanted to expand 770, downstairs 770, the synagogue, so it was bigger. Which I could believe them saying that to themselves.
Like I said, if I was a teenager, probably even now, I could be convinced to take a secret tunnel somewhere. And I have my sister is an architect, and I do not have any knowledge of architectural support. I could be convinced very easily. That would probably be the last thing on my mind. And then it would be a very stupid thing to do. I completely agree with that. But I would probably have a building caving in on me when I'm trying to secretly dig a tunnel into it. But I could be convinced. I'm just saying.
So the court case that I actually pointed people to, it's been like going on for 20 years because the people who actually own the building, the people from upstairs 770, tried to put a plaque with the Rebbe's name with Zchuto Yagen Aleinu, which means which is something that Jews put after someone who's passed away, on a plaque there. And the kids from downstairs were offended by referring to the Rebbe, like putting a commemorative plaque of the Rebbe, because they're like, no, the Rebbe is still alive. And so for years, there's been all kinds of fights over, well, who exactly gets to say, and they have like things up on the walls because their slogans, and Chabad, most of Chabad, right? So like Rabbi Krinsky and the actual board of Chabad tend to be all now old men, and they don't want any scandal, and they think this is stupidity, and they think they shouldn't bother with it, and they shouldn't talk about it. And it's so painful because it
Just being
makes
handled
so
for-
clear that Chabad doesn't have leadership like when the Rebbe was alive. When the Rebbe was alive, like, this would never have been tolerated. I can't imagine the Rebbe would have tolerated what ended up happening. But like, and Chabad has been in court for like years trying to evict people and get people to like recognize that they legally own this synagogue. But like, people are like, who do you think you are? And it's like, well, the Rebbe left them in charge.
Yep.
Founder leadership is hard to replace. See Christianity. Yeah. No, honestly, like, the situation in Chabad has made me, like, people ask me, why do you think it's so, like, just yesterday, the day before yesterday, I was arguing with Tripp and Michael Sartori on Twitter about Paul hijacking Jesus, right? Hijacking Christianity from the teachings of Jesus. And Tripp is like, people died for their belief in Christianity. How could you believe that it's a different, like, that they didn't get the teachings of Jesus right? And it's like, well, you obviously haven't been spending your time around Chabad, because, like, it's very, very obvious. Yeah, it's very, very obvious that like, there are people who think they represent the Rebbe who have idiotic ideas that, like, yeah.
People die for all sorts of things.
People do die for all sorts of things. Anyway,
Wow.
I thought I would have a stream because like, the number one thing I'm hearing on Twitter is people are like, well, why aren't they talking about it? Why aren't they explaining, like, what was going on? And most of Chabad just doesn't want to talk about it for good reason.
Yeah.
I feel like this is kind of the mood that's just hanging over too many places right now. But
What do you mean? Like, what kind of places?
Oh, just here. People talking about people doing crazy things, but also, I just look and I think I'm hearing the same kinds of leadership arguments happening in the chat group from my other denomination. Yeah.
Oh,
yours.
you mean the CRC? Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm literally hearing so much about lack of leadership, lack of direction. Why aren't people doing things? Like we've had, what was it? There was an attack on a deli in Toronto, and there's people hanging out on the top of one of the bridges on the highway, like into a bridge, just part of the highway in the middle of the West End, Toronto kind of thing, downtown West End. And I'm like, it's like I'm watching places I grew up and feeling sad because I recognize the places and I have connections. Like where my mom worked at the law office was just south of there. My friend Jack used to live in that area. A lot of Jewish people live in that area, which is why
Yeah, my rabbi's actually from Toronto.
Yeah. So, they're like, well, why do you think that they're all standing right here? And then there was this whole thing about police bringing coffee the other day, and arguing about what happened and why and who does what. And I'm just like, I don't know. I just feel like you go through decades of life and you think that people have well-formed logic and reasons behind the things that they believe and how they choose to live that out. And then the last few years happen, and especially this year happened. And I'm not convinced that we do. Because
So the conspiracy theories, I have to say, number one reason for conspiracy theories is people just cannot believe how stupid things are. And they think that they must be less stupid than they actually are. So they come up with all kinds of nefarious ideas about how it came to be, when it's actually people are far, far more stupid than you give them credit to be.
And people are making horrible choices.
Yep.
I saw generic horrible choices the last 2 years just in retail. But with everything that's going on at the moment, I'm just seeing all kinds of anger directed. It's like, it sounds funny to say a lot, that it sounds funny when you frame what happened at 770 as just kids acting out, which I don't think it is. Just kids acting out in one sense. But a lot of the stuff that's going on that I'm watching here is sadly, kids acting out not well. And what's that bringing? Like, these are our leaders in another 5-10 years.
Well, see, that's the thing. Okay, so Garth says Chabad might want to deal with internal affairs first before putting out a statement this soon. Chabad has been dealing with this for 30 years. Since the Rebbe died at age 92 in 1994, right?
When was this tunnel built?
What?
So this tunnel
the tunnel isn't. But the situation that led to this tunnel,
the upstairs downstairs thing, gotcha.
The upstairs downstairs thing, the fact that the people who are actually like responsible for the building don't have control of what's going on downstairs in the synagogue, right? Rabbi Krinsky, like the fact he can't go downstairs in the building that he's responsible for, right? And pray in the synagogue like a normal person. He's responsible for that synagogue. He should be praying there 3 times a day. He's not praying there 3 times a day. And now Rabbi Krinsky's like in his 90s. How old is Rabbi Krinsky now?
Christian Golden's in the chat. What's up, man?
Rabbi Krinsky is 90 years old now.
That's
right?
Old.
Yeah, and we have no like real replacement or way of replacing him. And so what's happening is, as people who were on the board, like the Rebbe appointed the board of Agudas Hasidei Chabad, which is the organization. as those people are dying, their children are inheriting the position. How long is that going to work? So yes, well, that's another problem is, Garth, when it comes down to it, part of the problem is like the people from upstairs don't want to send a bunch of kids to jail. They don't want to call police on a bunch of young kids who are too fervently convinced in the Rebbe's being the Messiah. Right? Is this Christian?
Yeah.
Who's a cop of Christian Golden?
He renamed his channel to I can't even say it.
Apologia.
That's better than I do. Like
okay.
agape, but yeah.
I wasn't gonna read anything so long, but Christian usually has good things to say. Yes.
I'm assuming I can say this because he did a video. I think he did a stream today about it too. His mom passed.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
A few days ago, so.
Christian usually has smart things to say, so I'm going to read all the stuff he wrote. People have faith in God's image bearers, whether or not they'd articulate it that way. Sadly, most of us don't bear the image well, and that goes for us, for those of us who are in positions of influence. That is correct. It's more that people are simultaneously too trusting and too untrustworthy than it is that people are stupid. All of us are dumb AF. That could largely be mitigated by love. It's love that is lacking more than knowledge, prayers, and love. Yeah, I think from reporter. Who are you from reporter? It's just a tunnel in a building. So, well.
That's how I would be convinced. Exactly. That's how they would have got me on board. They would have been like,
yeah, seriously.
That's why there might need to be a little bit of knowledge because I would be convinced, hey, it's just a tunnel into a building.
First of all, from reporter, if you're actually from and certainly if you're a reporter, feel free to jump on to the StreamYard. But the idea that Chabad is just going to ignore this, this is going. We are going to hear about the Jews in tunnels for a long time. It's already like major accounts, huge accounts have been talking about this on Twitter.
That's crazy.
Well, no, it's a bunch of Hasidim doing crazy things, and you didn't see the videos of like the police and Hasidim like getting to physical blows. The fact that these stupid kids, and some of them are going to go to prison. Well, see, this is the thing. Like Chabad doesn't want any of these kids ending up with like year-long prison sentences. But the fact is, if it wasn't their own kids, if it was somebody else, they would be like, send them to prison.
One of the I'd say clips if somebody had saved it, but one of the little short bits that I really took to heart watching yesterday was there was a young man completely in the face of a police, getting into the face of a police officer and yelling something at him and trying to demand, and the guy is just standing there going, we don't do things that way in America. This is not how we do things here.
Oh, yeah, I saw parts of that.
Did you see that? Yeah, and I was like, he's like just maintaining his cool. And I was like, I hope this doesn't get worse because this cop is doing a decent job of just kind of going, yeah, no.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, William's kind of right. Amish guy in trouble for violating food safety. Like a lot of these people could care less about occupancy laws and building and safety laws. And like, it's it's the people upstairs who have to deal with the municipality and stuff like that. It's the people downstairs who are like, F you, I'm building a tunnel. And frankly, a tunnel from a mikveh to the synagogue so they can just go to the ritual baths and come back. Like, okay, so you guys remember when Jonathan went to 770 to meet up with my friend Michael? So I told Michael, hey, Michael, if you can, after he does his Kabbalah, if you can take him to the mikveh, take him to the mikveh. And I was expecting that he would take him to the mikveh. But Michael said to me, I don't think there are any open mikvahs. I'm like, Michael, it's 770. There must be mikvahs around. But what I understood was there aren't any mikvahs that you would want to take someone and not freak them out. Right? Because like it's going to be something like, oh, in someone's, basement, there's a pool of water that like somehow has been made into a mikvah. Like, I was like, okay, so fine. He's not going to go to the mikvah. But like the fact that this is what's going on in Crown Heights, as opposed to them just like having a luxurious, huge building with a mikvah, like next door with like, build it out, spend millions of dollars, build a real like complex under 770. Chabad can afford it, but there's no leadership. There's no leadership. It's gonna kill me. Christian says, pronounced agapologia. Agapologia. I was on the fence about the name, but ultimately just went with it. Yeah, you might want to have a name people can read. The FDA mafia after raw milk worshippers for years now. Yeah, like that's the funniest thing about raw milk. Like, it's so funny that people are still. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, this is from the guy whose channel's name is Faturecci. So, yeah, the raw milk thing is just so funny. I don't understand why people are so adamant about raw milk. Have you heard about this?
I haven't heard about this. Tell me. It
Okay.
sounds interesting.
So, raw milk is basically illegal. You cannot sell raw milk in the United States or Canada because it's really dangerous.
We can't sell it.
No. The Fit Farm family are allowed it to drink some of it.
Yeah, if you have a cow, you're allowed to drink your own milk without pasteurizing it, but you're not allowed to sell raw milk because raw milk is really dangerous. And there's plenty of people. So Garth is apparently one of these raw milk people, right? And
well,
it's
I understand
why
you can sell it, but why is it so? I mean, you could, if you, like you said, if you have your own cow or goat or whatever, you could drink it. Why is it so dangerous though? Because those people are
because
fine, right?
if not, no, because the when you
Potential
pasteurize it, yeah, infections from cows to humans.
What?
It happens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Overstated. It's not overstated. It really is not. Like, the people who are raw milk enthusiasts, like, I almost want the FDA just to give up, let them do it, have a bunch of people, God forbid, die, and then we won't have so many raw food. Like, at some point, you just have to let people die of raw milk, because that's the only way you can show people can die of raw milk. I love up in the mountains of upstate New York. We've got a few co-ops around here that allow you to drop money in a lockbox and draw some raw milk. King of loophole. I don't do it, but yeah. No, honestly, like a few people just need to die of an infection from raw milk, and then we'll stop with the raw milk stupidity.
It'll just it'll just kill off the weaklings that can't handle it. That's what will happen.
Yeah, it'll be some baby that dies. It'll be some toddler or some old person that dies because of stupid raw milk shit.
Yeah, and then we'll just have the strong people that can drink the raw milk, and all the people that can't handle raw milk will just be dead. Like same thing with peanut butter. Let's just have everybody eat peanut butter, and then no more peanut allergies.
Yeah,
milk.
Yeah.
Milk. Mitch sent me I think that's.
I've also had raw milk several times. I know dairy farmers.
All right. Look, I mean, I'm not a huge thing of like. Yeah, I understand.
They're drinking it at their house. They didn't remember to buy any store milk for their guests. Sure, I'd like a little milk in my tea.
It's not the biggest thing in the world, but yeah.
But
so
I wouldn't
Bart
want to
says,
be going somewhere.
If the farmer you get it from does appropriate sanitation, it's fine. Just like washing your vegetables from your garden, right? So make sure that they wash the teats of the animal before they milk the animal. Like, dude, just drink pasteurized milk like who drinks milk anyway? We're human beings. Stop drinking cow milk.
Yeah, grow up.
Have you heard? Yeah, lactose intolerance.
Yeah.
Oat milk is nice.
I'd like to know who the first dude was that looked at a cow's udder and said, "I'm gonna suck on those things."
That's from Calvin and Hobbes too. Like the peanut thing is from a comedy sketch. I can't remember. Mitch sent it to me one time. I can't remember the guy's name. But that, what Christian just said, there's actually a Calvin and Hobbes strip where he says that. Same thing. It's a very strange idea. I mean, I guess it makes sense. You'd probably see a little baby cow sucking on a mother's cow's milk. It seems like it's been around a long time, that idea.
Honestly, I think they should just allow you to sell raw milk with a warning label.
This will kill you.
Yeah, and once we have a bunch of people die, like, and everybody will be like, hello, there was a warning label on it. Maybe people will stop thinking warning labels are just stupidity. Like,
they should do that. I think they should do that with everything. Yeah, they do that with cigarettes, I mean,
we only put warning labels on things that are only like a little bit harmful, and like we ban things that are very harmful. And so people look at the warning labels and they're like, "Oh, this is bullshit," right? And they don't understand that, yeah, well, guess what? Like, raw milk will kill you a lot faster than tobacco will. That's why it's illegal.
Oh, I like this argument. I think fast food will as well. But
fast food will take a much longer time to kill you than. Well, it depends how much of it you eat.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm very pro tobacco, although I can't smoke it anymore. But I love tobacco. I would give my right arm for tobacco. No, probably not. But
good.
Especially Turkish tobacco. Turkish tobacco is good. It's delicious. But don't smoke. It's bad for you. They put little warning labels on it. Perhaps it should be banned. But only time will tell. It's better than raw milk. We do know that. Smoke cigarettes. Don't drink raw milk. It's a message.
Batsani is like, it should be illegal to leave your house without a helmet. No, it really does get into seatbelt stuff, right? It's like, well, do we force people to wear seatbelts even if they don't want to?
Yes.
We do. Should we? Like, let people like, yeah.
Yes. Because if not, you become a potential projectile, and if you run into, there are some. No, I'm not. Sorry.
I believe you. That would just be a horrible way to, like, if you were killed by the person flying out of the car, that'd be terrifying. That could happen. I believe you.
I'm not sure it hasn't happened.
I'm just laughing because I put it in my head.
Yeah.
But,
I don't think Michael Malice. I think Malice is actually a stage name. It's a pseudonym he uses. I don't think that's his actual last name. I think his last name is like Malakowski or something. In all honesty, how often do people actually die from raw milk? Considering how hard it is to get, not very often. If you made it a lot easier, if you stopped with all the raids, like people, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the raids on people selling raw milk, but there have been. Like the FBI has been going after people for selling raw milk. Here, FBI raw milk.
Hand over that cow.
Here, this is an article. Lancaster County farm raid linked to illegal raw milk, dairy products after illness. Ag Department. A Lancaster County farm is under investigation in connection to out-of-state reported food-borne illnesses, according to the state's Department of Agriculture. Pennsylvania State Department of Agriculture officials and state police were at Miller's Organic Farm, located at serving a search warrant Thursday. The Department of Agriculture says investigators were looking for illegal raw milk and products like eggnog at the farm. There were 2 reported cases of the foodborne pathogen, STEC, Shiga toxin producing E. coli, in December in minors, according to the Agriculture Department. Ground beef and raw eggnog from Miller's farm was tested after one of the underage people in New York consumed it, and both products were positive for STEC. In Michigan, there was another report from a minor who tested positive for STEC, and that they had raw milk and other milk, eggs, cheese, and meat products that were from Miller's farm, the Agriculture Department says. In addition, the Agriculture Department says Miller was never licensed for retail operation. State police say that they were there to help provide security for Department of Agriculture officials serving the warrant. So, like, yeah, what can I say?
I like the comments going on over here. Mm-hmm. William Branch, I like my women raw. I agree. That's good. Very good. Raw milk. Raw human milk. There's a big market for it. Well, it's too bad I missed out. Could be making money here.
Dan Smith with the numbers. 1998 to 2018, 2,645 people and caused 228 hospitalizations and 3 deaths.
Oh, milk? That's not very many.
Yeah, but guess what? It's 3 deaths because people refused to pasteurize. Like 3 people died because they refused to pasteurize their milk.
I think I've just been swayed to the other side. I'm pro raw milk now. Only 3 deaths in
Only
like 10
3
years.
Deaths. Yeah, well, make it legal. See how many deaths you have, and all of them will be little kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. If it was on the shelves, I guess it'd be different. But you could just put a warning label on it. Although, like you said, probably people would. If you put it behind the counter next to the tobacco, then we might be all right. You have to be 18 to drink your raw milk.
Well,
see, we got to figure it out. Don't worry.
Like, it's not just raw milk; it's other farm products, but like I was looking up, we had a massive E. coli outbreak here in 2000 off of a in Walkerton, just northwest of me. And so, yeah, I popped an article I'm reading over in your thing, but it's not just, but there again, they've got a picture of Sick Kids Hospital. And so, I mean, it doesn't say it was milk. It was actually got into the drinking water from the farm because the animals had E. coli. People who weren't even necessarily consuming products from the farm got sick because the water system got infected, and therefore a bunch of people died. And one of the things that it says partway down the article is that what got people even interested in the disease as a disease was the multi-state thing that happened in the U.S. It said in '95, I think it was.
Well, apparently, so what happens is that there's E. coli like transmission, and like it spreads these particular pathogens and stuff. Yeah. 7 people died. Yeah.
Yeah, notable outbreaks in Canada. 14 children in Toronto area in 1980. Now recognized as one of the earliest known instances of E. coli infection. 13 of the children treated at Sick Kids in Toronto, and the 14th died suddenly at home. Yeah, I mean, if you can avoid a thing like this simply by
pasteurizing, and honestly, if it was just adults getting sick, I think it would be very different than parents giving it to little children.
Is there truth to the idea of like just the exposure whole theory? Like,
what do you mean?
You'd be more immune to these things if you're around it more?
Oh,
like
yeah.
People who grow up on a farm probably aren't affected as much by having poop
okay,
on
so there definitely is some of that, and maybe we are using too much antibiotics and like the hygiene theory, and but well, I mean, if like where do you start? Where I have the right to give my baby raw milk, but I don't have the right to abort my child. Like, come on.
Wait, what is this pork sausage that's kosher? Is this a link you put in there? Kosher pork sausage?
Previously handled frozen for your inspection protection. I have no idea what no, it has nothing to do with kosher. What are you talking about?
I think that's a joke. Is they're selling pork sausage that's kosher?
Oh, it says kosher. Yeah, I have
premium pork sausage kosher.
Does raw milk even get you high?
He did ask earlier if there's breast milk cheese.
Okay, we are not discussing that. We are not discussing that. Stop.
I wanted to.
At some point, this is just like no.
I probably shouldn't Google that. Actually,
puerile.
I feel like I'd get some bad results.
Go dating. Go dating. Like who was dating the other day and you were not?
Trey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear how his date went.
Well, we have had no report.
Get married. Okay, I am severely disappointed in the puerile nature of this discussion on everyone's behalf. Like,
I support that.
Let's. Can we be a little bit more adult about this?
This is probably why I'm not on a date and Trey is, because those are the type of things I want to talk about. If I was on a date, I would probably ask that question. So, we talk about.
You heard it here first. Find him a date. If he gets married, any of you can do it. You're funny.
Here to raise conscious and uncomfortable questions. Well, this has been a fun discussion. How did we get on talking about milk anyway?
We were talking about government's over
Oh,
regulation and people, especially religious people, ignoring government regulations.
especially religious. Can't you get religious exempt from the regulations?
You can get it religious. You can get religious exemptions from some regulations because we limit the power of government to interfere with your religious with sincerely held religious beliefs.
Oh, but it was an Amish person that sold raw milk or something like that. Was that how this whole thing came?
Apparently,
Something like that.
Yeah.
I hate to break your innocent mind, but they also come shopping for bulk strawberries at certain large grocery stores.
They do
Because
what?
sometimes they don't grow enough.
Oh, the Amish do?
Yeah, I can believe that.
Or,
I can
yeah.
totally believe that.
Or
I
Mennonites,
lived
I'm not sure.
I lived, I think, maybe 3 miles tops from Amish market, where my old house was. I would walk there all the time and buy stuff. I'd see them sometimes coming back from the store. I don't know that they ever did that where I lived though. If they would go buy like strawberries or something.
Oh, it's so fun when stuff goes on sale and you're watching the the managers controlling that. No, you may not take 2 skins of strawberries. There will be nothing left for anyone else. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's an investment market. You gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. That's sad though.
I'm a Native American peyote. What is that?
I think he's making a joke.
Oh, it's over my head.
Is there any way to make religious people think intelligent thoughts?
Religion is how you make dumb people think intelligent thoughts. The idea, so Sam Harris has his ideas perfectly backwards. He thinks that religion causes people who otherwise would have better thoughts have stupid thoughts. When the fact is, religion causes everyone to actually have better thoughts than they would otherwise have. And some of those people are very stupid to begin with.
I was going to say, this is not a great advertisement for the intelligence of the modern world if that's the example we're setting.
What do you mean? Like which example?
What you said, some people are very stupid to begin with, and that is true.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not like the kids who were digging that tunnel would have been not like doing something stupid elsewhere.
Exactly.
Right? They would probably be doing something even far, far dumber than building a tunnel under a synagogue.
Yep. I agree. That's what I mean.
Rabbi,
guilty of that.
I am trying to tamp down on the stupidity in the world. I wrote a long Twitter post that's linked in the description. It's still there, I'm pretty sure. Describing some of what is going on, but Too Long didn't read a bunch of young hooligans who were running amok downstairs 770. What were the tunnels? As best as I can tell, the people downstairs had ideas about improving 770, and they either wanted to make a easy way to get to the mikveh. There was a mikveh involved, and so religious Hasidic men go to the mikveh every morning, and so maybe they either were trying to make a tunnel to the mikveh, or it may have started as um, a way of getting in when the synagogue was officially closed.
Sorry, guard comment.
It happened a while ago, Rabbi. Juligans, basically. But downstairs 770 for many, many years. And you can look up the unfortunate court cases in New York. Downstairs 770 has not been under the control of responsible adults for many years. And they need to, the responsible adults, like, I mean, what do you say about the fact that Rabbi Krinsky did not call the police when he was ejected from the synagogue downstairs?
And in terms of Monday, did I read it correctly that it was people hearing the noises that were from like adjacent buildings?
Yeah, apparently neighbors were like, oh, like they started hearing noises from this stupid tunnel. And that's how it was discovered. And people were like, this needs to be dealt with. So apparently, some of the more responsible people from downstairs agreed with the people from upstairs, and they went to and they were going to seal off the tunnels, which caused the crazier people downstairs to riot, which eventually required actually calling the police in to get rid of the crazier part of the fraction from downstairs. I don't know if that helped.
It was a good summary.
You got to respect a good tunnel. Yeah, I guess you do.
I know, I'm actually kind of inspired, if I'm being honest.
Oh, Tim had the best comment on my YouTube thread. He said, I have often dreamt of digging my own man cave. These guys were living the dream, but flew too close to the sun.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I feel. I didn't know it was possible to dig such a tunnel. Now I know. Just need a few good men, a few stupid good men, capable and stupid.
Very stupid good men. Yeah, apparently.
I'm one of them. Sorry, I was looking at. Yeah, see, tunnels are cool. I think so too. Gotta respect a good tunnel. If you get lost in them, that would be pretty awful, though. I have gone caving before, and one time I thought we were lost, and it was pretty terrifying.
I mean, the most shameful part of it is the fact that they then started having like the videos with them with the police. Like that was completely horrible and unforgivable and stupid. But it is what it is.
I actually feel quite lucky that I've never done anything that's got me in that much trouble. Somehow managed to like slide under the radar with all the stupid stuff we did.
I mean, come on. Digging a physical tunnel? Well, yeah.
Well, we probably weren't as capable either.
I mean, I'm not sure what those mattresses were for. Apparently, well, okay. So trash being put out in New York City, like all kinds of trash. So they were talking, like, apparently there were also baby carriages that were gotten out of there. And it's like, okay, this is New York City, right? So people throw things, large, bulky items out, and other people decide, oh, I can repurpose this, right? So if you're building um, a tunnel like that, I assume you might be like you might actually go to a local hardware store and try to buy a wheelbarrow, but you might also pick up like a carriage that somebody threw out and start using that, right? And similarly, as far as going out and buying actual insulation and reducing the noise, etc., yeah, you might do that, but you might also like just grab things that were thrown away, like old mattresses. So, yeah.
So I found your tunnel, Jason.
What
Or
is
your
it?
man
What
cave.
tunnel? Yeah, is it? See, I mean, hobbit holes. I wanted to live in a hobbit hole for a long time.
No, it's not a hobbit hole, but it really happened. It looks a little too tunnely for me, but I stuck it on Jacob's DM. I'm getting things vetted because there's enough stupidity in the world.
What is this? Police say no criminal intent between Pan Am Games? Like, which country was this in?
This is Canada.
This was in Toronto?
Yeah. Wait a minute. Let me double check. I did send you the right thing. I have to.
Yeah, North Toronto.
By York University.
2 men in their 20s dug at the bunker-like tunnel found in North Toronto as a man cave to hang out in, police say. The tunnel, which was discovered in January, but first reported by CBC News last week, was dug near York University's Keele campus. And the Rexall Center, a major tennis. It's simply two guys who just wanted to dig a cave.
This happened a few years ago.
That's great.
I just remembered it. And when you said that, I'm like, oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's awesome.
Stupid kids doing stupid things.
I mean, they were 20 years old. They're not exactly kids.
Just two guys. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. I could still be convinced today to do this. That's what I'm saying. It wouldn't take much. Even after hearing this whole conversation today, I could still probably be convinced. If someone said,
the tunnel,
let's go
which
dig a
was
cave.
10 meters long, almost 2 meters high, and 86 centimeters wide, has been filled in.
You're welcome.
David says that university is very close to the Jewish area of Toronto. Coincidence?
Maybe.
Oh, God.
Yep.
I wonder if they were married. Probably not. I guess it could go either way.
Why would you build a man cave with somebody you're married to?
No, not that married together. Just that they were married and like had kids, and they're like, we need a man cave to get away.
Oh, to get away from. Okay, because I'm going, what?
So it could go that way, or it could be like, well, they obviously weren't married, and that's why they're doing such crazy stuff. Because they just have too much time on their hands.
The question is, why weren't they just watching things in their university rooms? Or I forget, who were they? I got to go back and reread that. It was hilarious at the time.
Watching what things?
Oh, they had like a whole cable going down.
That's what
For
people do
lighting
when
and
they're
stuff.
sober. Like me and my friends, I had friends in college, and it's like we all decided to just be sober and not drink for a while, and then we started building a treehouse, and it was the most terrible treehouse you had ever seen in your life. Just boards nailed to random branches, but we worked on that thing for like weeks. I'm surprised we didn't dig a hole. We should have dug a hole. That would have been a lot more efficient, I think, than this treehouse.
Treehouses are the original man cave.
They're fun. Before you're married, the world is your man cave. That's what.
You know, you can click on the comments and display them, Jason.
I could. Sometimes I'm worried about doing that, though, because I'd like to click on the one above it, but I feel like you would frown upon them.
I definitely would. Yes.
Oh, I
This
love
is why
jokes like
Dick
that.
really got a cat, because his channel and talking to all you guys is definitely like wrangling cats. Try to corral them.
I mean, we could look at some of the memes people have posted about this.
Oh, that's a good point. Went for man
Here.
caves. I'll pull that comment up. Wouldn't have the Dead Sea Scrolls.
This is true. This is true. This is true.
See?
So this is one of the videos that somebody made. Where is it? So underground New York City.
No way. That's crazy.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Well, I probably shouldn't do this. Like, I haven't seen these. I haven't
You haven't
seen
watched
these.
them all. You haven't filtered them yet.
Yeah. So this is
Yeah,
one of the
you did that.
pictures people have really been.
Is that the mattress?
Yeah.
That is a very unfortunate stain on that mattress.
Yeah.
Well, considering the location, it's probably barf, but you know.
I mean, it might be some kid peed on that mattress, right? And their parents threw it away. That's my guess. But
that's what I was thinking too.
There are many mattresses like this that end up on the streets on bulk garbage day.
Yeah, of course they do. And like, if you're going around looking for mattresses to use to insulate the cave you built under the sand,
check both sides.
It's so dumb. Yeah.
Oh, so where's your Fountain of Comfort logo? I just noticed it's not up there. Do you not always use it?
No, I only use that on the Fountain of Comfort videos, and the Fountain of Comfort videos are supposed to be hosted by people who are at least in a professional program for becoming mental health counselors. That's yeah. That's what that brand is for. I'm hoping to get Gage and Colin and Max and Ryan to host stuff on Fountain of Comfort, because we're all well, Max is already.
What style of stuff?
I think. Well, it's supposed to be mental health related. It's supposed to be public education about mental health. Yeah.
Just any type of videos they want to do.
Yeah, just anything they want to do,
Do
but
you-
like have
Yeah.
it be on topic.
Gotcha.
And have them there as someone who actually knows what they're talking about. Like, well, Max is already an ACSW, so he's almost licensed as a clinical social worker. I mean, I would love if I could get Sevilla, who is a licensed clinical social worker, involved, or Dr. Peterson, if he wants to stream on my channel, he's very welcome. John Vervaeke, if he wants to stream
Well,
on
I would be curious. Do it. Yeah, let's get him in here. I don't.
Yeah.
But how do you? Because I know you said when you were going to school, you said you thought a lot of the stuff being taught, which is
It's bullshit. It is.
Yeah. So how would you? So you would kind of. I mean, these are people you know personally that you trust.
Yeah, like
their opinions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. These are people I actually think know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But they're. So, I mean, part of my thing with Fountain of Comfort is like, I actually want there to be people who know what they're talking about, Like, it would be nice if, like, the people who are actually mental health professionals actually knew more than the people who aren't.
Yeah.
It would be nice, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
That would be, yeah.
Yeah. Bye, Rabbi.
But here we are.
Thank you for
talking about cheese and tunnels.
And embarrassing me in front of Rabbi Mullet.
Goodbye. Bye. I embarrassed you, or the comment section did?
Yes, Jason, you're so embarrassing. I don't know why I let you on my channel. Who let you on my channel?
I don't know.
By the way,
free slot on here.
You wanted to stream. What do you want to stream about?
I was thinking about streaming. I didn't really know. I just figured I'd start one up and see what happened. Yeah. So
and Sandy started a channel.
I heard.
Yeah. I don't know if you were ready for it to be announced, but she did.
It was announced last night.
I shushed a couple
It was spilled the beans. CW. spilled the beans.
CW, yeah, he's the one who sent me. Yeah, CW is your biggest fan, Sandy.
Yeah, he's been pushing to. Well, you told us to both go and get some training, so we did. And so he kept asking me, "Have you done anything with it yet? Have you done anything with it yet?" No. So
CW is a strange guy. And I was all in favor of him starting his channel until I heard he's starting it by platforming Dunning-Kruger. Jason, you look confused.
No, it's a little thing popped up on my computer screen. It said new memories. It was just my computer's being silly. It was just like a photo popped up all of a sudden. I was like, what the heck is that? I thought I got like a text message, but it was just my computer trying to remind me of my dead dog. How nice. Thank you. Let me go cry. Just kidding.
yeah.
It's like, hey, look at these memories. Don't forget.
So are you the next person that I now get to turn around and pester you as to what you're going to talk about and when you're going to start this, like CW is pestering me?
Me?
Yeah.
What?
Jason?
Start. Oh, I have my own channel.
I know. Are you going to stream some stuff?
Yeah, I'd like to stream more. When I did the one yesterday, I'm not really sure what to do.
Great.
I'll just try to use discretion of like here and there where I'm gonna stream to, because that was one thing I was gonna ask you, Jacob, because I know some of the conversations I had in the past on my channel were, well, most of them were a lot of them were probably more Christian focused, I guess, but then some of them I was just trying to talk to people from all sorts of different beliefs, so I didn't know if your channel was more Jewish centric.
Jason, so the big thing with you as opposed to the people that I kicked off, like, for example, Mark Lefebvre, is yours is Bible based stuff.
Usually, but that's what I mean is sometimes like one.
Yeah, but
think,
I trust you to have a Bible based
point of view or something.
point of view.
Yeah.
And while like Mark is a nice enough guy, and I tried very hard to like I tried to support him. Like his content isn't the type of content I want on my channel. Whereas your Bible all the time.
Yeah, usually. That's what I mean. But one time, I mean, the reason there were a few conversations last year where, I mean, I think a few times I talked to people that were, like I said yesterday, that were basically, I think they would describe themselves as witches. And then if I like wanted to talk to someone about Hinduism or things like that, that's what I mean. Where like I'll try to probably try to have discretion. Where I'm like, I don't know if this conversation would
Jason
be good for your channel. But if you want me to just do that and do a disclaimer, I don't mind streaming it to your channel.
Jason. So this is the thing. I gave you the authority because I trust that you're going to be more worried about it than I am.
All right.
And if you do something that like I actually don't like, I'll let you know, and then we'll know. But don't worry about it.
Okay.
I trust you more than I trust 99% of the people on my channel, including myself.
Well, thank you for that. It's really interesting. I mean, I think some of the, like, personally, I've said this before, some of the most interesting conversations I had, the most important ones for me last year, that's why I said, I knew I was going to be so busy last year, and I was like, if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to do the Hebrew Bible study, because that was kind of the top priority for me. But some of I've had some really interesting conversations too with talking to the people in more like, I guess, pagan or witchcraft practices. I think some of the reason I'm interested in it too is because there was a lot of Protestant, if I'm being honest, a lot of Protestant Christianity. There's a lot of similarities between that. And so that kind of always interests me. Like one of the girls I talked to, she's a witch and she spins yarn, and she'll sell the yarn. And she was telling me that she's even had like Catholic people ask her, because she'll like spin yarn with intention or something, or like, and I was like, this kind of sounds the way some Christians use prayer cloths and things like that, where you give them, like she'd give you the yarn, but they'd give you a cloth made from the yarn where you've like prayed over it and kind of done these rituals over it and things like that. So I always thought that was kind of interesting. And then even the ideas of like herbalism and all that seems very similar. But I think the first girl I talked to, I don't know if she would call herself a witch anymore. She used to be a witch, but she had a really interesting story where she basically was doing some dark stuff, and basically a demon, I think, sounded like I think that's how she would describe it. Some demonic spirit started attacking her and causing her a lot of trouble. And I guess one of her friends said, well, let's just pray. What is that prayer called? Is it a novena? It's a Catholic thing. And they prayed some prayer to Michael, the archangel, and her problems just left. I guess Michael just scared that demon off or something. And so then she's converted to Catholicism. I think like just maybe within the last 2 weeks, she was baptized into the Catholic Church. So, but I don't know. So I don't know. It's just getting people's stories like that too. But yeah, I don't know. I think those conversations are extremely interesting, especially where they get the weird overlap. And I'm like, this magical practice you're doing sounds pretty similar to this one I used to see in church a lot. I don't have a problem with it.
I do, but I'm glad you're saying that Protestantism and pagan worship of demons is very similar, because it is.
So what would the idea of praying to archangels? That's like probably
okay.
Pagan Christianity taking Jewish traditions and things like that. Because I know you have different archangels and like
yeah. So this is the type of stuff that make people within Judaism be like, see, like the idea that there are angels, or even, for example, I mean, actually, this goes back to the whole tunnel thing, right? Is the Rebbe still alive? Well, obviously, I believe that the Rebbe, being a saintly man, is like alive in a sense, because like we even at during the book club we were discussing like wicked people during their lives are like dead people, and saintly people even after their deaths are living people. Like this is something we say in Judaism,
Yeah,
until
really
you take it
interesting.
literally, and then you're an idiot.
Well, the reason this is interesting because even Jesus, when he's pressed about the resurrection, he says something similar to what you're saying. He brought up Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and said he's not the God of the dead, but of the living.
Right.
So the way Jesus actually thinks about resurrection is different than most Christians describe it. But
Right. Look,
But-
if you are so childish as when I say, like, okay, let's say I said Abraham Lincoln still lives among us, or Martin Luther King still lives among us, or when I very often do
crucify
say,
him.
I
I'm not
I
Martin Luther.
I have every intention of killing John Calvin and Martin Luther, right? Which I do. If you think that that means that I want to go to Wittenberg and dig up his dead corpse and like shoot it, or even that I want to like go back in time 500 years ago and shoot him, like that's not what I'm talking about. And if you can't understand what I mean when I say I want to kill Martin Luther, then that's a problem with you being childish. And no, childlike belief is not good. Like, we have to
I think it's all
understand
right.
children.
It's great.
We have to understand children. That doesn't mean we should not be adults. We should be more than children.
Gotcha. So back to this idea of how do we get on this? Because I was asking you about
Angels.
archangels. Yeah. So people like to say what they like to say, aha, do you believe in angels or something? Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
Like they try to
Kabbalists pray to angels. And it's like, yeah, no.
Well, the reason I would I've never prayed to angels, but I wasn't brought up Catholic either. I haven't prayed to saints. There doesn't seem to be too much of a difference to me. And I thought that praying to saints was that you're acknowledging a hierarchy. You're not placing the saint above God or the angel above God, but you're like making offerings, requests to certain angels or saints that have a better connection to the one true God than you do. That's my understanding of it, but it could be way off.
I am going to do something incredibly dangerous, which is try to remember off the top of my head which chapter
I'm
in
listening.
Genesis I am trying to find. Let me see if it is in fact. It is in fact Genesis 48, I believe. 48:16. I'll read the Hebrew and you can translate. Hamalach hagoel oti mikol ra, yivarech et hanaarim, veyikareh bahem shemi, v'shem avotai Abraham veYitzchak, veyidgu lov v'kerer art. Go ahead, translate.
The angel who redeemed me from all evil, bless the lad, and let my name be named on them in the name of my fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? I don't know. It's
No,
better.
this is Jacob speaking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't because our faces are over the bottom of it, so I can't scroll. So I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's the best I can translate. Oh, Abraham and Yitzhak, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth.
Right. So this is
Bless
Jacob blessing the children of Joseph, and he prays, the angel who redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them and the name of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac. Right? So, like, there you go. Like, it's in the Bible, Genesis 48.
The
Now,
angel and the names of the
yeah, he's like,
ancestors.
yeah. Like, what do you do with that if you're like, no, nobody should ever pray in any way to an angel? Like, Jacob in the Bible is now some horrible sinner and idolater in your eyes. Go away. Just go away. Just, like, who do you think you are? Right? At the same time, I don't think in any way is Jacob like praying to angels. Like, no, that's not what's going on. You're misunderstanding. And like, yeah, so if Jacob jumped off the bridge, would you follow? If the Jacob from the Bible did something that the Bible seems to approve of, I generally would be like, seems like it's something to approve of.
Trust in the Bible. It seems like a good idea. Like, so I had a question too. This is a bit unrelated to this topic, but since you brought up Genesis, it reminded me. So
how dare you ask me about the Bible? I hate when people ask me about the Bible.
Dan, it says in Genesis 49. Well, his name is his name made judge too. That's not the meaning of his name or something like that.
Say what? What are you saying?
Did you say Naaman?
Dan's name, it means judge or something like that.
Don means to judge.
Yeah. And so there's this idea, I don't know if it's in Judaism as well, but when you get to the book of Revelation in 144,000, I'm pretty sure Dan is not named. Like, he's excluded. And isn't Dan the one in the book of Judges that, like, does, am I remembering right? But I've always heard, I'll backtrack a little bit. I've always heard in Christianity, I don't know how prominent this is, but because in the 140,000 it lists off the names of the children of Israel, and Dan is excluded. And I've heard the reason being was because of what they did in the book of Judges, where I think they took some idols and they expanded their territory farther than they were commanded to, or something like that. And so, like, their seat of judgment or having a seat of authority was taken away.
I mean,
is that right?
That came up in a study on Revelation, I heard too.
You've heard that as well?
I'm not some great whatchamacallit. I'm not some great scholar of Revelation there, but if you count up the 12 tribes, you'll notice there's 13 of them, and so there's always a question of which one don't you count.
Yeah, but it's interesting to me that so I thought this was, for some reason I thought that same idea was in Judaism. I don't know where it is in the Old Testament though, if that Dan is excluded somewhere. But it'd be interesting to me that Dan is excluded because of just the meaning of his name and that prophecy over him in Genesis 49.
Oh, so you want to destroy all judgment, and you're one of those universalist people.
So
no, wait, what do you mean?
One of these things
That's what I'm trying to do.
Why
you're trying to explode? You're trying to...
because they found the land God allotted to them unacceptable, so they abandoned it. That's what I kind of heard too, yeah. And I'm like,
Yeah, I don't know where that idea came from. I'm not trying to destroy all judgment. I quite like judgment a lot. I feel like it's
Really?
hard to destroy. Yeah.
Oh, come
I
on.
think.
You're a
I mean, I think
universalist and
I am
you
a
know it.
universalist. I do. Yeah, I am. But I do think judgment is connected to mercy ultimately. But I think you can't have one without the other. So, but I don't know about. So why does me asking about Dan make you think I want to destroy all judgment? Because his name
you're
means judge or something?
excluding, yeah, like you're saying you're excluding Dan.
I didn't. The Book of Revelation did. Go ask John the Revelator. Oh my gosh, his writings are.
Kirk,
I thought it had
I
something
don't think
to do
we're
with.
gonna be. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna be streaming very much longer because, like, I did this
Is that correct?
stream because I wanted to
How many
answer
different names
people's
do you- I thought it was-
questions about the stupid tunnels.
It sounds like they're digging tunnels outside my window, Jason, but actually that's just the regular winter snowplow that goes around at 3 a.m. most days.
If we could get a hold
It's
of
not
that
3 a.m.
machine, we could dig some
It's
good
not,
tunnels.
but we did just have snow and freezing rain. They're getting ahead of their 3 a.m. run.
I think I'll try. I'll try
Jason,
to find it.
You're
I thought there was
the
some.
wrong person. Maybe
Yeah.
Yosef would be a better person to ask.
Okay, because I'll try to find out if there's an idea like that somewhere in the Old Testament. Because I know that the way Christians connect it, their reasoning is something to do with the Book of Judges, where they take that little idol and expand their territory or something like that. Before the Levite's concubine gets smashed at the threshold of the door. We should just study the Book of Judges sometime. That book is crazy. This whole Bible's crazy. Well, we could do Genesis. Genesis is pretty crazy too, to be honest.
Genesis is.
I just read through it and I'm just like, what is going on here? And you got Joseph practicing divination. There's some more of that pagan stuff I was talking about with his silver chalice. I'm just having a good time, sorry. Judges
How
is so
dare
good,
you have a
says
good
David.
time?
He said, I think most Christians have no clue what the tribe of Dan even means. Probably right. Oh, I can ask Joseph or Hezi or something about the tribe of Dan and what happened to them.
If the roads are plowed, should I go to Guitar Circle at 7?
Go to what? Guitar Circle? Oh,
Do you have a guitar?
that sounds fun.
I don't play it.
If you have a guitar, I would go to Guitar Circle.
Yeah. They'll make me play and I haven't practiced.
Why haven't you practiced?
Mm,
Whose fault is that?
the cat I don't yet have.
You're getting a cat?
Pardon? My
You're
friend
getting a
is trying to convince me that I need cats because her work is rounding up all the feral cats that they have running around. Apparently, there's quite a lot to choose from, which means there should be some young ones. Yeah. And she said, of course, it would be better to take 2 because then they'll keep each other company and discuss their plots for how to destroy my stuff. Feral cats. I'm thinking about it.
You are? Oh my gosh.
I miss cats. Yeah, my son has been allergic to cats, but his last allergy test didn't show any major allergies. So I'm kind of thinking if I get a nice short hair, maybe
give him some whole milk, and it'll cure his cat allergies. Trust me.
I did get an insight as to where you could legally buy whole milk if it didn't bother you.
You milk the feral cat, give it to your son. It will cure his ills.
No.
David said he'd love to join in for a judge's conversation.
Yeah, there you go. It's
David's one of the people I've been trying to rope into getting involved in my channel.
Really?
Then you have
you
to
should-
study judges.
Let's do
David
judges.
is pretty smart. David is
smart.
pretty smart for a Christian.
Well, does he want to build tunnels?
Apparently.
I will.
Apparently.
That's good.
There was a lot of support for your man cave idea. Might even
That's
solve the
good.
meaning crisis.
Nice. That's good.
Good, actually.
Has Jacob ever used recreational drugs?
Why aren't they asking
And
you?
Kirk wonders
that-
why I don't think it's a good idea for him to be on my channel so much.
That's the cool kid Kirk, though, right?
Yeah.
Does he
Yeah.
always have like a different name? I thought his name was
No,
normally
I think
Kid.
Black
Oh,
Mask
Frequently.
is one of the things he uses on YouTube.
Black Mask.
Yeah. I mean, he's a young kid, but like sometimes it's like, Kirk, why are you asking something like that?
'Cause he looks up
Take
to
a
him.
joke. Like, sorry, it didn't land. I'm sorry.
Recreational drugs.
Now they're quoting. Okay. Song references.
What time is it there, Jacob? It's
Not so late.
Is it
But like I
3:40?
should be doing like actual stuff in the world. But
yeah. It's still
Yeah.
light out there, right?
It's dark here, but
Hey,
it
how-
gets dark here about 4.
How close are you to Nevada, Jacob?
I mean, I could probably drive to Nevada in like 6 hours, 7 hours.
That's not that far. I'm wanting to. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'm wanting to go gold painting this summer in my motorhome, and I want to go out that way. So if I'm out that way, I'll try to stop by and see you.
If you are within
6
6
hours.
hours of California, I will drive 6 hours to come see you.
Yeah, we can meet in the middle or something if you want. Not Vegas though. I hate Vegas.
Really? So
Yeah,
do you know
I
what
don't
I
like
do at
cities.
Vegas?
What do you do
At
in
Vegas, I go to one of the limit poker tables, like 2-4 limit,
Yeah.
and I sit there and I play. And usually, like with $40, I can play for 3 days straight, tip the waitress every time she brings me a drink, and stay drunk for a good 3 days playing poker.
What?
So it is so
Well, that
much
sounds
fun.
fun.
Yeah, like do
I'll
you
give you
play
$40.
poker? Do you play poker?
I haven't played in a long time. My dad used to have poker nights every once in a while, but it's been so
Just-
long. I don't
Just
know.
as long as you know the percentages well enough to fold and it's structured, it's pretty easy. And the other people are also drinking. Like, no, like it's a bunch of people who are just playing. It's not like
Yeah.
people trying to win money for rent or anything. It's
Yeah.
you can just sit there and just fold a lot.
Okay.
And
Well, I'll go
and
for the
just
women, not the money.
drink and stuff. Well, you had your chance at women in India, and for some reason, you decided not to go on any dates, even though
My
people
chance is
were
gone
like,
now.
Jason,
I had one shot, and now it's gone. Don't I get a second
when's
chance?
the next time you're going to India?
I want in May, actually.
When?
Literally every time I leave, I said I want to go in May. Actually, every time I leave India, as soon as I leave, I'm thinking about when can I go back. I know I'll go sometime, probably at least by next November. I think is when my sister wanted to plan another trip back there, but I want to go before then. I was gonna try to go in May, although I haven't mentioned it to
Okay,
anybody.
so when you go, actually go on some dates, Jason.
find some unfortunate girls. that would
Who
subject
and then
themselves to
she'll
me.
make you stay in the
My
United States as opposed to
cheese humor.
wasting your time going to India and spending all the money that you earned in the United States and India?
My internet just glitched out. All I got was the end. Was spending all the money I earned in U.S.
And stop spending all the money you're earning in the United States in India.
Yes, and don't say some poor unfortunate girl in reference to going on a date with you. This was the discussion yesterday, wasn't it, with a couple of you? Totally untrue.
Yeah, we were talking about masculinity.
Yes.
I'm not a Renaissance man. And my
Highly
humor consists of cheeses.
Highly overrated.
Cheeses. The Renaissance men are highly overrated.
Yeah, somebody posted on Bridges of Meeting a link to something. Oh shoot, what's the one lady that gets quoted a lot? Anyway, they're doing this dating event, but I followed the link, and it's $60 a person for a ticket, and their questions are really basic. And the meal thing looks like it's like miles above my pay grade and interest thing, because I'm thinking, okay, why would I go and pay $60 to sit in a room with people pretending to be something, which I was thinking of your conversation yesterday, because I'm going, if you want to meet somebody, there's a billion people out there. Go to a coffee shop, strike up a conversation. If she doesn't have any interest, she might have a sister, a cousin, something. Seriously.
Yeah, that's right. I know that'd be a great way to go. I can tell that you don't like me, but do you have a sister that might be interested?
I met Jack in a coffee shop, which was in a bookstore, and I wasn't even looking for anybody or even a cup of coffee, because I don't happen to like Starbucks that much. Sorry, Canada. I'm more Tim Hortons. It's a little lower pay.
That might work. There are a lot of people that hang out at coffee shops, that's for sure. Or I could go to bars and just try to find drunk girls. That might be easier. Just kidding. I'm joking. I'm obviously joking.
Go and sit.
I don't think it works though. I'm not very charismatic, so I think a lot of times
I just drop something, lean over to pick it up, apologize, do something random.
Do what on my podcast?
Just sit there with something that represents you, a book you're reading, something you're talking about, notes you're writing for your future podcast, your phone following people that you like, something where they're going to go, I'm not really watching this guy, but what the heck is he?
Okay, I'm looking at tunnel memes on Twitter. Underground dreidel road is the funniest thing ever. Get it? Underground dreidel road. Yeah.
No, I don't get it.
At Underground
I'll have to
Railroad.
Google it.
Railroad, but instead of railroad, dreidel. Yeah. It looks funny. Okay, maybe it's not.
There's one other thing. Oh, so I don't know finances work very well, but I heard that India and Russia are going back to a gold standard. Would that mean that the value of the money would increase, right? Over time?
I very much doubt they're going back to a gold standard, and people have been saying that for a long time. I would be shocked, and it makes zero sense.
Gotcha.
And it would probably, if anything, destroy their economies. But
besides, all the people, like one of my weird friends, are saving up for their future in gold, something or other. I don't know what. Like some people go back to
get that gold
farming mentality, and other people go back to, nostalgia. And other people are, yeah, well, because everybody's looking for the end of the world. She's kind of Pentecostal, so she's saving up gold.
I just want money and women. That's all it is. Let's go to Vegas, Jacob. We'll meet there. money and women. I'm just kidding. I don't want to go there. I really don't. I've only been once, and it was just so crowded.
In most of Nevada, prostitution is legal, not in Vegas.
In most really, that's weird. Not in Vegas.
Not in Vegas.
That's weird. I thought it was in Vegas and nowhere else.
No. Vegas, like Nevada, generally it's legal except in Vegas.
That's strange. Well, it's an interesting state, I guess. I went to the Great Basin. That was really cool. The cool state park out there.
Okay, you guys can keep on
Nope.
going, but you're gonna hop off too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was going when you are.
I just found out the Guitar Circle's canceled due to weather, so.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, massive crap coming in.
Well, I don't know.
Now you get to practice.
And now I get to practice, yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I was playing banjo before I got on here. All right. Goodbye.
I am going to end this